Oof, the suck. What else was I going to talk about here before someone else asks a question? Explain those things, talked about Grand Alliance. Oh yeah, I went a little bit more philosophical with, and memey, I guess, with it's not really director's well, I guess it kind of is, can't I? Yeah, I suppose you could consider this director's commentary, but it's mostly like things I couldn't fit into the video that I wish I could have, but 31 minutes is already really long according to the statistics of YouTube viewership, and so I had to keep the length down as much as humanly possible. And if people want to watch a long thing that talks about everything, well then they'll watch this one, because that's what we're making right now. Anyway, for the Grand Alliances, maybe I didn't hammer this home as much as I should have, because it's a sticking point with me. And I didn't, and I kind of regret it, but I went for entertaining instead of informative. You will note that I tend to lean on the side of entertaining rather than 100% truthfully accurate informative. I sacrifice a little bit of that for entertainment value. Obviously, I do so with the lore, and I even make fun of myself for doing that with the lore when I'm talking about the lore. Like in the Everdank section of Gloomspite Gets, where I say, this isn't just my artistic license to be funnier this time, this is what it's actually called. And so if you have problems with my creative, artistic vision for interpreting the lore of these factions, I just want you to know that I know a lot of what I say about lore is not exactly correct, but it's the same with Games Workshop. They give you 3 or 4 explanations, unreliable narrator for everything that happens, and when you read about an event in one battle tome, and then you read about that same event in another battle tome, somebody's lying. Somebody's lying big time. And a lot of the coolness of the lore in this game isn't this person did that at this time. It's look at this dude and this is why his sword is so sweet, and now I'm going to come up with lore for my dudes. So, I guess forgive me. But, there it is. And furthermore, the Grand Alliances, the Grand Alliance you're in is 100%, and I'm talking 0% anything else, okay? It is 100% what god you worship and nothing else. There are post hoc, after the fact, rationalizations about the philosophies of the people in that destruction. They're like rules of nature and chaos are really chaotic, and order builds cities, and these guys don't build cities. It's all just an excuse, okay? If you're in Grand Alliance Order, you're worshipping gods of the Order Pantheon. That's the reason, and it's no other reason. Why is Skaven in Chaos? Because they worship Chaos. The end. Nothing else at all matters. Great Horned Rat is a Chaos god. Skaven worship it. That's why they're in Chaos. You might think philosophically they belong in Destruction, but the reason you're in a Grand Alliance has nothing to do with philosophy and everything to do with the god you worship, and that's it. So, you might not like it, and actually I think it's a little annoying too, to be honest, but that's just the way it is. Next up we got Stormcast. What did I want to talk about with Stormcast? Any tee-ups or something like that? I wanted to talk about Anvils of the Heldenhammer. I think that's what they're called. Wait, which is the one? The one with cool dude who gives everyone a 5-up and lets them fight when they die sometimes. Gardas Steel Soul. Gardas Chad Soul, that dude. Where you're actually able to play Grindhouse in Stormcast. I kind of wanted to mention that, but I started to, but then I didn't get that in-depth on all the rest of the factions, and I felt that it was unfair, so. Arguably, the philosophy is somewhat founded on what god they follow. Yeah, it is informed by that, right? So in that way, that's kind of true, but it really is, what god it is. But you're not wrong, Vimong. I was about to touch much longer on Cities of Sigmar and talk about, in Broken Realms, you can build a Stormkeep, and you can use half KO in this thing, and you can use half Sylvaneth in this thing, and you can use Harkuron, and you can use this, but it got so long, and I was trying to keep it to about 1 minute per army. Wasn't exactly my limit, but that was the target, I would say. A soft out, not a hard out. About 1 minute per army. 27 to 29 armies, depending on how you define an army. And the video is 31 minutes long. So I spend essentially 1 minute in total on an intro, 14 seconds on hey, buy a shirt, maybe 30 seconds explaining the Grand Alliances, and then 27 minutes explaining 27 armies. And I didn't want to have one of them hog all that time. And plus, man, they just told us that the Dongbringer Crusades are coming out, right? So who knows what the fuck is happening with Cities of Sigmar. I sure hope they're not getting squatted, because we're halfway through the 3rd edition of the game. We are so past the point of squatting an entire army that it would boggle my mind if they did something like that. But it's possible, I guess they do. I just don't know, and they haven't really told us. They said that they're doing Dongbringer Crusades. It's maybe mostly about humans, but I think they mentioned on the live show that it wasn't exclusively humans. Is it just going to be a separate thing and they keep Cities of Sigmar around? That would, in my opinion, be ideal. Are they going to squat Cities of Sigmar? I sure fucking hope not. Boy, would that be crazy. 7 years into the game. Oops, this army that's been around for 7 years is just gone. What? You can do that with great chagrin when you create a brand new game like Age of Sigmar. And you can even be excused for doing that halfway through the 1st edition of said game once it gets points. After that, don't do that. Don't pull the rug out from under someone. I really hope they don't. But we just don't know what they're going to do. So, I could have talked about more stuff for Cities of Sigmar, but they had so many fucking units already to mention that I just kept it kind of brief. Daughters of Cain, I waffled about calling them powerful. As you can see here, I call them powerful. I was really waffling about this one. Powerful is supposed to be like a top 6 army. I actually don't know if Daughters of Cain is technically top 6 right now. It was when I was writing the script, and then a new book got entirely spoiled, and they've been very slowly, but they've kind of slid down a little bit in the meta, but it's super temporary, and there haven't been enough games to really say. And anything I call them, now that we know all the stuff in the book, is going to be a guess, right? Because nobody's played with the new book yet, we just don't know. So it's possible they're a very high good once the book settles. I don't know. I call them powerful just because they kind of are at the moment, or at least a month ago. Bow snakes are the bow snake list is a little worse than it used to be, because there's shorter ranges on stuff and you're more fragile for sure. But a bunch of other stuff is really good. Is it better than bow snakes? I don't know. This is all theoretical, and so I just went with powerful. It might end up being that they're really high good, but I don't think new players will give a shit. Somebody might, but I had to use prediction because we just got the whole book spoiled, and I had to rewrite part of this. Fire Slayers. Don't have too much to say about Fire Slayers. I could have tossed in one more hero in here, I think. I only focused on 3 units. I could have talked about another one, like maybe a Rune Smiter or something like that. And I called Fire Slayers good. I called Aiden and Deepkin good, I think, instead of powerful, I want to say. Yeah, I called them good instead of powerful, which might be controversial. I don't know if they're quite powerful yet. We haven't really seen people go all in on that new book quite yet. We're right on the cusp of what's happening with that one, I think. And so if you wanted to say that, oh, they're not quite good, they're actually powerful, I would shrug my shoulders and listen to your argument and be like, yeah, probably. I could listen to an argument one way or t'other on that one. Maybe good, maybe powerful, not sure. So, fair enough on that. Oh, another thing I kind of regret with Daughters of Cain is saying that Doomfire Warlocks weren't good. While that's technically true, they're not good. They're not, like, bad, though. And maybe I should have worded it in such a way that made you think, like, okay, this unit doesn't excel, but it's not like crap. Oh, speaking of that exact point, I remembered the really important point I wanted to get to here. Sorry, SG Arcade, for having to chop this up and put it at the beginning, maybe, but key units I have a section for every army where I talk about key units. These are not the only units in the faction that are good, nor are all of them auto-includes. I just don't want people to get that impression. That's not the case. I don't think I mention any key units that are bad. I usually mention the better units in the army, but you can, with a few of these factions, build an army list using none of the key units I mention, and the army is still great. It's not an exhaustive list. And it's not like if you aren't playing this, the shit sucks, right? There are units that I feel kind of represent what the faction is trying to do while also being some of the stronger units in the book. And so I guess I just wanted to put that out there on key units. If something is an auto-include, I call it an auto-include. Like, I use that word. I called Marathi an auto-include because she is. And I called, I think I called Bellicor an auto-include, or in so many words I did. And I want to say I call, what else did I call? Scarbrand an auto-include. And then there was one tier below auto-include, and I always used this terminology. I said, for sure this unit. And they're not quite auto-includes, but they're like, you need a good reason not to play this in the faction. And so, for instance, I said, for sure zombies in Soulblight Gravelords. And for sure Bliss Barb Archers in Heat Knights of Slaanesh, etc. And, well, it's not impossible to make an army that's functioning without those. It's like, you might consider playing them. Although I said Marathi is an auto-include, the new book just came out. I don't know, maybe she's not. If you're not playing Bow Snakes, maybe you don't want Marathi, actually. Maybe you want something else. But I left it in there anyway, and maybe I was wrong to do so. Yeah, the Mommy of Nightmares, yeah. I actually read that wrong in my script. I had Mother of Nightmares typed out because that's one of her titles. I look all that stuff up. I don't always use their official titles. Sometimes I meme. But in a vacuum, if I don't have a cool meme for it, I'll use their actual true to lore, title. The Demigod of Darkness for Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse for Archaon. Mother of Nightmares for Logovai, stuff like that. Speaking of Doc, you had a hearty chuckle at the Monmusu quest reference? Yeah. My friend told me to put that in there, although I don't understand the reference myself, of course. I've never heard of that game, and also I'm 12. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about key units. Lumineth Realm Lords. I think I'm pretty good here. I could have... one thing I regret on Lumineth is not talking more about their actual lore. Some of these factions got more actual lore than others, and I regret not talking about Lumineth's actual lore, because it's actually pretty cool. Perhaps I memed a little too much on Lumineth. And I could have talked about their cool real lore. Same thing with Fyreslayers. Maybe a little too much memery and not quite enough lore, but I also tailored it a little bit towards what the person might care about. I did the same thing with Khorne, for instance. But I think Lumineth person might actually care about the lore, so I feel that while it might not be the case for Fyreslayers or Khorne, it probably is the case that somebody who would be interested in Lumineth would actually be interested in the lore, so I consider that a mistake that I didn't at least mention something cool. Seraphon, I made sure to add the dinosaurs riding dinosaurs with lasers, just to satisfy all the comment section, and also it's funny, and a lot of people like it. The decision is perhaps split, I suppose, but more seemed in favor than against. I stand by this statement 100%. Dollar store chew toy looking ass shameful embarrassment model, please 3D print this. I stand by this quote. I don't care how many votes I lose. It's just the truth. Let's see, Sylvaneth. Sylvaneth, well, we just got a whole shitload of stuff spoiled with Sylvaneth. And so I was forced into prediction mode on this one. So who the fuck knows if I'm going to be right about this. And I'm not just going to never release the video and always wait for the next thing. So, fuck it, we'll do it live, I guess. So I say they're good, because that's my prediction. The fuck it, also available. Got them. And the key features and everything. That one's on the screen for like 1 second. That's a pretty good one. Anyway, so I had to enter prediction mode with Sylvaneth because we just spoiled everything and who the fuck knows what's going to happen. So I just said, probably good. You're probably going to want to play these bug things. I bet they're good. And if they're not good, I bet the other bugs are good. And if they're both bad, well then, hey. prediction alert, right? We have a disclaimer here, so I'm safe. I'm marked safe from the Chaos Warriors situation. Video is dope. Hey, thanks. I'm doing some Q&A about it. Why the movie recommendation for Seraphon? You're not sure I get it. I thought in my head, so Seraphon, for instance. Where the fuck? Here? Star Trek Beyond. I thought there was a lot of parallels between spacefaring, super intelligent race following the dictates and grand design of the old ones, right? And super intelligent spacefaring race following the prime directive of Starfleet. And also the movie's dope. And features teamwork and working together and doing good things. And it's the only Star Trek movie that's actually entertaining that they've made in the last 40 years. So I was thinking about Land Before Time, but that would have been a pure meme, and that movie actually sucks. It's I wasn't about to recommend a movie that like straight sucks, unless it's so bad that it's actually fucking hilarious, like Fist of the North Star 1986 animated feature film, the one with the music video 3/4 of the way through it, sung in half Japanese and half English, of Kentaro just fucking walking through the desert. Jurassic Park, yeah, but it's just like Jurassic Park doesn't. It features dinosaurs. This is true, but just because your movie features dinosaurs doesn't mean it evokes the feeling of what Seraphon is, right? And so I will sacrifice actual dinosaurs in the movie if the movie kind of has at least feelings and themes that I think resonate with the faction. Which is why, for instance, I chose Redline for KO, even though they don't have any guns. Because fucking blazing with a pompadour all over the place is kind of what KO see themselves as, I think. I guess I could talk about the movie recommendations for all these. Speaking of, since I'm already doing it. But, yeah, Stormcast is Edge of Tomorrow. Tommy Cruise is essentially reforging over and over and learning from his mistakes. And, begins to lose his humanity before the movie has a classic, Hollywood ending and everything like that. It feels very Stormcastian to me. Cities of Sigmar is Record of Lotus War because it is a very old movie that probably, or series that probably hasn't aged exactly well, but it's got that classic old feel of elves and dwarves and humans working together against evil. I was going to recommend Lord of the Rings, but I went for an older movie because Cities of Sigmar is all about old classic soul feeling stuff. All You Need Is Kill. Yeah, that's what the manga was called, if I recall correctly. Kill, Die, Repeat. Or All You Need Is Kill is the manga, and then they made a movie which was going to be called Kill, Die, Repeat, and then halfway through marketing, I think they changed it to Edge of Tomorrow. But it's a good movie. No, not Bakshi's Lord of the Rings. Look, I'm a big fan of Bakshi, okay? He's a fucking Chad. He told Disney to fuck off. He put adult content in his animated movies. He rotoscoped when he had to because he had no budget. Bakshi is based, alright? That being said, there are some issues with almost all his movies are pretty flawed, but based for sure. Anyway, for Daughters of Cain, I went with Fate's Day Night, the anti-video game version, and then said it was anime as a little inside joke. I guess I could have been less memey with this one, but I think a dock player would really enjoy this. High art, interactive game where heroes of all time are kind of doing the bidding of people and so on and so forth. 300 is obviously Fire Slayers. It was the first one, and it was so perfect that I just reused it because, what's a better Fire Slayers movie than 300? It's just them. It's just Fire Slayers, except they're all 6 foot tall instead of 5'11". Plus the Battle of Thermopylae, you're outnumbered usually because you're a really elite army. It's really kind of 1-to-1. I went with Zatoichi by Kitano for Aina Deepkin. And I admit it was a little bit because of their eye thing going on, but I feel like the feeling of the player who's playing IDK would really like it. Yeah, the Beat Takeshi one. The good one. You got suckered into that series? Which one? Dad bod. Talked about KO. For LRL, I went Avatar, obviously, because it's first of all, it's a meme, but then actually, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Maybe it's an overrated series or something, but like I watched it when it came out, and I haven't watched it since, and I haven't watched it more than once. It's a quality fucking show. It happens to be a kid show, but it's actually good. It has good storytelling, good characterization, good arcs, all around, and good animation. Actually, it's a fine show. And I think a Lumineth player might enjoy it, even though it's the least weeb one for arguably the most weeb army. Although that's probably Doc. Yeah, I almost wouldn't even say for a kids show it's good. I would almost say it's legitimately good. At least as I remember it. Oh, Fate Stay Night for Dad Bod. Yeah, I thought it was a fun one. I never did any of the other Fate Stay stuff or watched any of them, but the original was kind of fun. It was cool seeing like, oh, this is Japan's interpretation of this famous hero, and you know, here's Gay Bolg and stuff like that. Obviously, Sylvaneth is Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, and this was my suggestion before it turned out they got bug stuff. Now that they have bug stuff, it's even more fucking perfect. It's just Sylvaneth, like you're even riding bugs. It's also one of Miyazaki, or one of my favorite Miyazaki's probably, even though it's an older one. And so Sylv would probably just eat that up. Big environmentalism stuff, which is, I mean, par for the course, I suppose, for Miyazaki, right? Yeah, Zuko is an awesome redemption arc. It gets convoluted. Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah, I never followed the million different series of it. Porco Rosso is number one with a heat-seeking rocket. You know, I've only seen it once, truly a million years ago, and I can't remember much from it. Dogfighting with planes or something, but yeah, I don't remember much from it. I've seen probably almost all Miyazaki stuff, but I haven't seen any of it very recently. Really liked Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. Really liked Kiki's Delivery Service. Felt Howl's Moving Castle was overrated. Spirited Away was a phenomenon at the time that it came out. Lost maybe a little bit of its luster, but still pretty solid. Can't really remember much from Porco Rosso. I remember more from Ponyo than Porco Rosso, but that's not like an insult. It's just, I don't know. I saw it a very long time ago. For Korn. I might have memed a little too much on Korn. I should have talked about actual lore at least once instead of just Violent King of the Hill, which was indeed kind of what their meritocracy is, really. Howl's is one of the best. To me, I was kind of bored. I thought Howl was overrated, but I've only seen it once. So many people gushed over it, and I saw it, and I'm just, this is one of Miyazaki's like okay ones. I thought maybe it was because the voice actor for Howl was so fucking hot, everyone's brain turned off. I'm not sure, or maybe I just wasn't in the right mood to appreciate it at the time. But yeah, I gave it a big meh. I mean, meh for a Miyazaki movie, so it's still really good, but yeah. Ahem. Fist of the North Star, I went with, or Korn, I went with Fist of the North Star, and I did this, and this is a more correct pairing with more thought put into it than you might think, and also more than I should have done. But Fist of the North Star is, yes, it's about violence. It's about being the strongest. The whole story is basically about being the best in the world, directly competing between huge power men, right? But it's also like they always win because of tactics and like strategy and being the best and being the most skilled. Every time you fight anyone, like the biggest, strongest looking guy tends to lose. It's always the more skilled guy. And that fits into what Korn is really about instead of what like Korn makes you think it's about at first. Yeah, he's the savior at the end of the century. He's the tough boy. Yeah. So like you would think that Korn is just mindlessly attacking and sprinting across the table and just smashing crap, but that's actually Iron Jaws. And Fist of the North Star isn't just like thoughtlessly punching and being as strong as possible. It's actually about being super fucking skilled and being the best and most disciplined and having the most crazy mystical powers you've developed over your whole life, and also bloodline, I guess, too, in a way. But it's a better fit for Khorne than most people might think. I really am bringing the tactics of the gameplay in there, whether people like it or not. And the secret pressure points of the body, and so it's way more skill than it is like brute strength or anything. We've got the Mad Max 1 Beast Claw Raiders. Tzeentch is Death Note, which was probably, I mean, you probably could have called it, but it's the most just as planned anime ever, and that's Tzeentch. So, I mean, that being said, are you ready for secret stream only live information? You know how a lot of times you'll get people who are like, oh, I'm the biggest anime fan, or oh, I have a film degree or whatever. What famous movie that of course you've seen, or famous anime that of course you've seen that you just haven't? Like some film majors have never seen, you know, Pulp Fiction or something like something you assume you would have watched but you just haven't. I've never seen Death Note, and yet here I am recommending it. Gee, I hope it's as good as everyone says it was. Rosebud? No, I've seen Citizen Kane for sure. I mean, we had to watch it for class, but I had seen it before that, and I saw it being parodied on The Simpsons even before that. So I've seen it 3 times essentially. A lot of people haven't, but pretended they have. Okay. I probably would pretend I had if I hadn't, but I had to watch it for class, so I don't need to. Next up is Slaanesh, and I finally got to put John Waters in one of my YouTube videos about tiny plastic fighting men. And so I consider this video a success no matter what. He had the absolute suck. Absolutely. Anyway, so I put that one in there instead of the fucking, like, visual novel animation with the dude with the funniest line ever. I was going to do it, and I even showed it to some people on Discord, but I'm like, I didn't necessarily get cold feet. I was a little concerned that it might trigger some of the, like, you get sent to different advertising stuff, right? Because the knight is, what the fuck is that line? It was so ridiculous. You'll have to get through my penis, or no, he says wiener. Out of all the names for the human penis, he says wiener. God damn. You'll have to get through my wiener to get to my soul. And then there's the fucking succubus witch or whatever, and she's like, very well. I laughed out loud for probably a minute, and then I'm like, you know what? John Waters actually fits better, and it's safer, and so it's a win-win situation. Is this where HeyWoah talks about Breathless? Yeah. Breathless is a good name for it. Because when I was watching it, I wanted to hang myself. Ahem. In a video game. Fucking French New Wave. Anyway, what? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is good for Slaanesh. It fit too perfectly. I haven't seen all of the show, but I read all the manga a million years ago, so I felt like this was fair enough to be able to recommend for it. Fits with Slaanesh pretty well. Absolutely fabulous. And Sigvald is very clearly, yeah, Dio. Nurgle. Oh yeah, Annihilation. This is another just about perfect fit, I thought. Almost nobody saw this. Or maybe they know about the bear meme or something like that, but I really liked Annihilation. I thought it was much better than what's the other one the dude did? The one with the robot chick who seduces incel neat guy, an incel scientist man. Ex Machina, yeah. That one was okay. It was like a neat idea, but maybe a little slow and open-ended, and kind of I'm sort of like nodding along with it, you know? But Annihilation I really liked, and it encapsulates a whole bunch of what Nurgle is about. The cycle of life gone crazy.
Relaxing.
Ooh.
Kind of invigorating. Everybody doesn't appreciate it like we connoisseurs do.
Mordrak, 666, thanks for the $20. That's a huge dono. Thanks for the absolute... Do you have a message? Let me check this. TY for being you. Hey, thanks for the $20. You're welcome for being me, I guess. Thanks for liking my stuff. Appreciate the connoisseur. TY. Yeah, it's got weird science. It's got, like, different biological stuff. Creatures, like, molding into each other. It's got body horror. It's got fungal bloom. It's a horror movie, and it encapsulates a lot of what Nurgle's all about. I liked it a lot. And for people who pretend to give a shit about this but clearly don't, it has a cast of essentially entirely strong female leads. And that's it. Everyone who matters in this movie, essentially, is a strong female lead. And it seems to be what people were always asking about, but totally ignored when it happened, almost as if it's a show they're putting on, but they don't really want that or something. Anyway, I thought it was dope, AF, and I liked the ending. I liked the proposed ending a little better, but studio's gonna studio, right? Interesting you didn't do 28 Days Later or some Contagion or something. Yeah, I could have done those. Those were a little bit more zombie-focused, though, and Annihilation is a little closer to what Nurgle is trying to do, I think, and also it's a way better movie than those two, and so that's why I chose Annihilation. And I didn't do the Toxic Avenger because most of these suggestions aren't pure memes. They're trying to be, like, actually entertaining. Even though Toxic Avenger makes a good, like, here's a picture of him, Ahem. Alright, Slaves to Darkness is Metalocalypse. I think somebody who's interested in Slaves to Darkness this type of humor would exactly fit. And the band is kind of like if a Slaves to Darkness group was in real life and decided to play instruments. It's a classic and it's very funny. So I think the sense of humor would fit with a person who happens to be interested in STD, I think. Skaven, I went with Secret of Nim, which might be too much of a meme. Honestly, I haven't watched it in a long time. I remember liking it when I was a kid. So I don't know how well this aged or not. So, oof, right? But it features rats, and the animation was dope and real, and the story's crazy. So, yeah, maybe do I regret The Secret of Nim? I don't know. I hope the Skaven players are happy with it. I probably should have watched it before putting it in here, but I didn't. Well, I mean, I watched it a million years ago, but I didn't rewatch it. BOC, I went with Hellboy 2. Skaven it's a mad world. Oh, yeah, the Mad World one. I was thinking about just being like, alright, Skaven, new player tip. Watch A Dinner with Andre. But I didn't want to, like, full troll people. So I went halfway with Secret of Nim. Hellboy 2 is a visual feast of just Del Toro, fucking perfect, awesome creativity. Features somewhat of a demonic main character and a bunch of wackiness, and I think they'll just enjoy it. I'm glad that you think it holds up and it aged well. I'm pleased. And it got rid of some of the rough edges that Hellboy 1 had. So, big fan. Flesh Eater Courts, Princess Bride and Dead Alive, one on each monitor. I could have chosen something else for Dead Alive, but I knew I wanted the Princess Bride. And it does hold up, I think. And you just have to watch them both at the same time to get the full effect. Only thing you could think of for Pokemon episode that focuses on Team Rocket? Yeah, maybe. I didn't want to have it just be an episode, though. Almost Like Drawing holds up way better than animation. Yes, real actual cell animation holds up way better than digital crap. And Don Bluth does hold up. Yeah, look, I watched Rock-a-Doodle-Doo when it came out. It was okay. I'm more of an all dogs go to heaven kind of guy. Like the musical that JFK liked. Camelot? I don't remember this one. Camelot, huh? I never saw Warm Bodies, Hungry Panda. Would that be a good one for FEC? I wanted to get the double thing going on. And they're probably not going to watch Dead Alive, but they might watch Princess Bride, and if they do, well then good. If they can get if they can get past the atrocious cinematography, fight choreography of that one dude who, against all logic and reason, somehow kept working in Hollywood for about 30 years and issued consistently the worst sword fighting choreography I've ever seen in my life, every movie he worked on. How that guy kept getting hired, I have no fucking clue, but anyway. Black Cauldron. I liked Black Cauldron too, yeah, Ortorius. That's a good one as well. I remember that one fondly. Pepsi infused pepperoni, yeah. Pepsi Roni. Really liked Black Cauldron. Dude, maybe Black Cauldron is better for Skaven. I don't know. I liked Black Cauldron. Spirited Away for Night Haunt. This one's a little loose, I guess. But it's very good and it has to do with ghosts. I suppose I could have chose something better for Night Haunt as well, or something more fitting, but Spirited Away is so good that maybe we calls it even. OBR. Seven Samurai. This one was obvious to me. I felt. It's old, just like all of the Souls and all the OBR guys. Talking about veterans and team tactics, and I just think it's a good one. It's probably his most famous one, so maybe it's not the greatest to recommend, but it's a good one. Any ghost movie with ironic deaths? Yeah, maybe. I can't remember. Oh, there might be. There's a few that like Red Letter Media went over, but like most of those are really bad and just like kind of neat. Anyway, I gotta recommend like really, really good movies every once in a while, right? So this one seemed to fit OBR to me. Also, there's Disapproving Samurai Man on Catacross's Diorama. Sam Jackson, death in Deep Blue? Nah. Like, the death was indeed surprising at the time. But I don't consider the movie worth watching. Kingdom of Heaven would have been good. Yeah, that might fit OBR, you're right. Or maybe 13th Warrior. Something like that. I just watched The Northman a few weeks ago, and that one was pretty good. It doesn't fit OBR at all, but it's a pretty good one. I like The Lighthouse better, I think, but then again, I like weird fucking shit, so here we are. Soulblade Gravelords, Vampire Hunter D. Well, alright, we're done with the section where things don't fit perfectly, because this is fucking it. Name me a better movie to encapsulate S-Blight G-Lords. You can't. Isn't Seven Samurai a movie about samurai teaching a village to defend themselves? Yes. And, it's sort of like the thing that 50 years of Western movies directly just ripped off. So when you watch it, you'll probably see all these tropes and everything that are done to death, but if you put yourself in the time period when it came out and consider it and listen to the music, hopefully you'll be able to appreciate it. Yeah. The Northmen, aka me and the homies, are gonna get rip shit and Howl at the Moon, yeah. I liked it. I'm not putting the Northmen down, Dad bod. If anybody hasn't seen the Northmen, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I liked it. After that, and it was a great movie, after that, I'm just talking about taste. Yeah, no spoilers. If anybody hasn't seen Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, do so. It's lit. And it's got that old animation stuff, so it still holds up. And it's pretty Soulblight. In fact, the first one is actually really good too. Although that one is showing its age a little bit. Maybe the first one fits the story a little better, I'm not sure. Just watch them both, they're sick. Next up we got Action, Not Words. Ruled by strength, not committee. Where the law changes to suit the individual, not the other way around. Alright, we got Orc Warclans. Let the Mummy line play. No, it's super loud. Premiere just... You can't turn Premiere down, it just blasts because you're having to worry about levels, and I don't want to rip headphone users over here. And while I will do a show where I'm just talking about the video I just made and doing a Q&A and explaining stuff, I'm not quite full of myself enough to just, like, lean back in my chair and, like, play the fucking thing live when you could just watch it on YouTube. It's not, that is a fridge too far. Put a spin on a bridge too far with a fat joke. Anyway, One Punch Man for Iron Jaws. This holds up, and One Punch Man, at least season 1, is super entertaining. Actually funny, which is very rare, I've found, for a Japanese animation. A lot of anime humor is, I mean, to say it's an acquired taste is probably putting it too lightly, right? But I found One Punch Man, at least when I first watched it, to be legitimately funny. I never ended up seeing the second season. A lot of people didn't like it, but I plan on watching it at some point, so I can only recommend the first one. You loved your complete inability to describe Bone Splitters because they lost their way. I'm perfectly capable of describing them. I do so later in the video. It's just the way I framed it up was sort of a device a vehicle to show how they feel so tacked on in a way by GW. Because I'm talking about Gork and Mork, right? The two-headed god, Gork and Mork. And they are brutal but cunning, or cunning but brutal, right? And Iron Jaws are brutal, and Cruel Boys are cunning, and Bone Splitters. Now you have this third one, and it's like, what? Okay, just they're naked, I guess. That's their thing. And Bone Splitters are naked, I guess. They're savage, and then I described them later, but it felt like it felt kind of weird to me. I like Mob Psycho 100. Japanese humor is 90% wordplay, and so it fails horribly when you translate. There are a lot of puns, yeah. Japanese, they love their puns, and it just totally falls flat when you're trying to translate, and I understand that. To me, Japanese humor is like, well, not Japanese humor, but like specifically anime humor, which is different than Japanese humor. Japanese sketch humor is like kind of nuts, and I actually like it. But it's like half wordplay and then half people just shrieking, and the tone doing a 180-degree rotation from 0 to 200 and then back again, just bouncing around like a pendulum, which to me is a bit cringe and at best a little tiresome, but sometimes it is actually like legitimately funny. One Punch Man, Golden Boy maybe if you're really juvenile, Full Metal Panic Fumofu, I suppose. You know, every once in a while you get some like legitimately humorous anime stuff, I think. Not a weeb, by the way. Is there a legend for the side photos on the video? Mua Dank, good question. A lot of people asked it. Yes. I posted it under the video in the comment section, and I put a pin on it that explains them. And then also in this very stream, I explain them at great length, and I'll be putting that up as a video on HeyWoah Plus. They're meant to emulate the bestial magic of Gur embodiment. Yeah, I know what they're meant to do. It just, the other two orcs are so clearly half of Gorka Morka. Like, they took Gorka Morka and cut him in half, and one half is Iron Jaws and one half is Cruel Boys. And then Bone Splitters are like, it's Gur and the Wa energy, kinda. They don't get a piece of the pie. They don't get a piece of their god. And so I felt they were a little left out. That's really my complaint. Anyway, yeah, One Punch Man for Iron Jaws for sure. Cool Boys is Predator for sure. This movie slaps. It is an action movie pretending to be a horror movie. Or in another frame, it is a horror movie, except your main cast is paratrooped in from an action movie, and they land in a horror movie, and it turns out the main cast are the most equipped to deal with the horror situation you could possibly be. And it's got some great lines, and the script is crazy. And it's actually a legitimately impactful, important film, actually, and super good. A bit memey, maybe a bit dated, but the swamps and tricks and traps and everything fits pretty well as well, I think. I ain't got time to bleed, yeah. It's got Jesse in there, the body Ventura. It's got Arnold. It's got Dylan, you son of a bitch. Fucking slap hands. It's got some memes in there. Sexual Tyrannosaurus. Space Dandy is a good one, although Space Dandy was a little frustrating for me to watch, I must admit. Because it promised me the world, and the tapestry sort of unraveled a little bit the longer I watched it, and it kind of unraveled and sort of didn't necessarily end, per se. I found it to be unsatisfying after watching the whole thing, because I felt like it had so much potential. Catachans and 40k are literally just the Marines from Predator turned into an entire faction. Oh, is that so? That's funny. I remember Dog Soldiers. I don't remember too much about it. I think I saw it and I was like a kid. I was like a kid who liked everything that was violent at the time. I don't know if it was actually good or if I just liked it. Ahem. And then Bone Splitters. They should watch Baki because it's the most Bone Splitters movie or series I could possibly think of. And especially because most of the people are usually naked. Or just about. Just like Bone Splitters. Absolutely crazy. Muscles everywhere. Just overpowering each other. it has that, like, you know, that anime trope thing where they make up junk science and fake, like, oh, this technique, or this person trained in such a way, so the most stupid, absolutely dead ass stupid explanations for impossible physical feats. But like, that's the fun, that's the joy of it, is that it's so dumb. It is so dumb. But that's the fun of it. And surprisingly realistic bodies. For all the shit that Baki gets for being like crazy proportion, you know, nuts, like it is like they have the most realistic musculatures and bodies out of most anime of huge dudes. It's just cranked up into stylistically 150% possible, right? But it starts from a place that's more realistic than your average anime stuff. And even some of them were modeled after famous bodybuilders and things like that. It seems like the initial D of fighting, you know, a little bit. Hit him with the Pac-Man body, dude. No, I don't have it on my computer ready to go. Sorry. You'll have to go to Discord for that. Next up is Gloomspite Gitz. And I was going to say Gitz as in Gitz every single time I said Gitz, but I decided that might get old, so I just did it the first time. Everdank. By the way, I'm not lying here. That really is what the tunnels are called. I checked the battle tome. Fucking Everdank. Perfect. I couldn't have come up with that. So good. Anyway, I feel like I might have shit on them a little too hard and how Kragnos carries their faction. Should I really have even talked about Kragnos in the Git section? He's not really part of their army. Maybe that's not fair. But it is true. And they're getting a new battle tome anyway, which hopefully ends up being good, and so maybe it's all water under the bridge, I guess. And then the movie, I went with Gremlins 2, which might be a little too silly, but I think it's so fun. And a lot of the stuff that it predicted as a joke became reality, and you won't even think it's a joke anymore watching it now. But it was back then, and it was strangely prescient. It's just visual gag after visual gag for an hour and a half. Devin Clip, just watched the new video, good job. Got more than a few good hey, thanks for liking my stuff. I've already started typing for the next vid, although it won't be very soon, because I gotta do everything, right? But hey, the YouTube engine is revving up. We're rolling. You need to hit Kragnos at some point. Maybe him and Gotrek needed a single side highlight at the end of respective GAs. I did. I put Kragnos in the GSG section because I felt like I should address him in some way. And he fit in GSG because he actually gets played there, and he's sort of the only reason the army is okay. So I felt like that was safe to put him there. As far as Get Wrecked, I showed a picture of him briefly in the Fire Slayers section, but I think the fad of playing him in anything is sort of over with, so I didn't feel the need to address him. Because people were temporarily playing with him because it was kind of fun, but it was never really, like, very competitive. It just shit on bad armies. Like mine at the time. But I think people are mostly over it, and so I didn't really need to address it. I just threw him in the Fire Slayers section because he looks cool. After this one, we need weekly 2-minute videos about nothing. Alright, I'll work on it. You know that's what streams are, right? Except it's 16 hours a week about nothing. But sure, yeah, actually a good suggestion. Yeah, once he no longer got run and charge from Iron Rocket, it hurt Muad'Dib. But luckily in IDK, you have plenty of other great shit to do, so it's not too big of a loss. Yeah, have you heard of HeyWoah Plus? Low effort content? Yeah, I know you're joking, but that actually hurts me. Because I spend a lot of time on streams, even though some of them aren't that good, I admit. I decided to dial it back a little bit on streams so I could start doing some more YouTube, and I think that's probably a good choice. I'm probably best at the YouTube stuff. And I don't want to just upload to YouTube every 4 years. I should probably keep it a little, not constant, but a little snappier, you know. Anyway, then we got Gutbusters and Beastclaw Raiders. Gutbusters, I decided to do a joke for this one. I hope Gutbusters players will forgive me. But first of all, it's a funny joke. Because it's self-referential and I haven't done it yet. I don't overuse it. Go over to Korn Player's house, whomst this army would get along with for sure, and watch Fist of the North Star. And then we even got the Hato reference in here. And secondly, an Ogre player would like Fist of the North Star just as much as they would like, just as much as Korn would. And then Beast Claw Raiders, to the surprise of no one, Mad Max Fury Road. I mean, come on. You're driving monster trucks around the table, crashing into stuff. That's what Mad Max is. This happens to be a fine film with amazing cinematography and great action and great acrobatic cinematography to it. A lot of real stuff. Also, Coma the Doof Wagon, or the Coma the Doof Warrior, I think is the red onesie dude's name. Anyway, I had to say Mad Max Fury Road somewhere, and Beast Claw fit pretty well, so we're in. And finally, Sons of Behemoth, or as I think I accidentally said one time and forgot to fix, Behemoth or something like Bahamut from Final Fantasy. I might have misspoke during the video, I can't remember. Anyway, big. And their movie, of course, Pacific Rim, the first one. It's dumb, it's big, it's fun. It's dumb and fun. Nobody in the movie can act their way out of a wet paper bag except for Stryker Pentecost, the only actual actor in the whole fucking thing. But I forgive them for that because it's just dumb fun, and the robots feel like huge and stuff like that. So, hey, Sons of Behemoth player, congratulations, you'll enjoy it. You said Bretonia? Oh yeah, I probably said Bretonia wrong as well. Oh, it's Stacker. I forgot. It's not Stryker Pentecost. It's Stacker Pentecost. Every army fighting them is Attack on Titan. Yeah, pretty much. I think it's 100 bits. Crypt Shadow, by the way. You meant create low effort content. Oh, you meant to do that in the future. I see. The Waifu Weekend content is the highest quality that you look forward to. All right, good meme. Anyway, I appreciate the 100 bits. Kind words. The Mommy of Nightmares was great. Thanks for not editing that. I couldn't edit it out. I'm like, yo, this is staying in. This shit's staying in. You want to set up those beautiful accidents. You want to be prepared to have an accident and then show it, right? Because it's the closest to truth you can get. Stryker Eureka. Yeah, fucking Australian one. Stacker Pentecost. Co-piloted, yeah. You also listed every giant except the one mega. Dude, War Stomper? What were they doing? What are they thinking? Like, you want Kraken Eater because he does damage, and you want the other one because he kicks shit, and then the third one is just like the cheapest and he does nothing. You might still play him just because he's the cheapest, I guess. Just because you're not in the key units doesn't mean you're bad. Or that you can't, or that you even need to build an army featuring only key units, or even any. You don't have to. But, you know how much the internet loves big vampire lady? Yeah, for sure. I remember who was that? Somebody reacting to that. I want the big vampire lady. Like pronouncing it all wrong. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully people watch my Twitch show and go to my Discord and notice HeyWoah Plus because I put it in here. Although, you know, I guess maybe they will, maybe they won't. The best I can do is try, and also the best I can do is limit it to like maybe 7 seconds on the screen. I'm not trying to waste people's time. But hey, buy a shirt, will ya? Anyway, thanks for watching. Endless Spells, 404 image not found. Why even mention them? They're not a relevant part of the game. They just aren't. They're a failed mechanic. And they're a failed idea, essentially. Warp Lightning Vortex. Bailwind before it got squatted and changed 5 times. Spell Door. And the Cogs, I guess. Before they got nerfed and no one plays them anymore. So there's like Warp Lightning Vortex maybe by 1 army KO. Spell Door by 0 to 3 armies, sometimes maybe. And then there are like 50 other endless spells that are entirely pointless. Endless Life Swarm, maybe. The snake thing that Doc can summon, maybe. The Chalice and FEC, maybe. There's like some footnotes, kinda, but I feel like largely endless spells were a great idea that immediately just fell straight, like stepped on a rake, you know, and it just slapped him in the face. Yeah, Bridge, that's another one. Razzle Sparks, that's a good point. So I'm willing, as many as 6 of them are sometimes ever used, and then there's 56 of them that are just entirely worthless. And then not only that, no one played any of them, pretty much, right? And then third edition comes out, and they're like, okay, well, let's check our notes. How many of these are getting played? A handful, sire. Maybe. Okay. Well, we'll take all the ones no one's playing and double their price. Like, what? Are you kidding? All right. In second edition, more people played them, to be fair. But it still wasn't very much. They should not cost points, just make them a spell choice. Actually agree. Yeah. Or if they're going to cost points, they need to be really good to cost points. Purple Sun was a fun choice in a few armies. Not like a competitive choice, I would say, but good enough to be very fun in a few armies before it got changed. But yeah, early on, like right when Seraphon got their new book, like Bound Purple Sun was super fun. Playing it in Nagash was kind of fun as well. Geminids were very popular back in the day. Shackles are good because anything that fucks over your opponent's charges is good, basically. Always felt like a stop buying these move. I don't know why a company would want you to stop buying their products. I don't know if it's cynical, it just seems like something a company wouldn't try to do. But I guess I don't know their mind, right? Anyway, chat, good talk. I'm fucking boiling in here. I'm burning up. I gotta turn this AC on before I melt. It was always going to be kind of a shorter show. I was just going to go over the video and collect a whole bunch of Q&A. Actually, anybody have a last minute question or comment, by the way? Collecting this is just a big like Q&A on the video, and then we'll bundle it up into a HeyWoah Plus vid if anyone cares to watch like 2 hours of question and answer session about the vid and stuff like that. Thanks for liking my stuff. I'm going to be making more because it's fun. So, good questions. Thanks for the subs and the bits and the primes. I appreciate it all. Also, a few actual donations to TY. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys for the first time in 4 years. I'll see you guys for Waifu Weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I'm no longer going to cancel those because I'm working on a YouTube video. How many times did After Effects crash on you making this? 0. After Effects didn't crash and Premiere didn't crash on me. XSplit crashed on me 3 times. But After Effects and Premiere haven't. It's exceedingly rare for After Effects or Premiere to crash on me. I don't know that... I want to say either of those programs have crashed on me maybe once since I got this computer, I want to say. Very rare to see those crash. XSplit crashed, which ended up crashing the computer itself, which by proxy crashed Premiere and After Effects, but it wasn't their fault. Most of the kinks seem to be worked out, or maybe I'm just lucky. You're cursed with AE? I've heard that a lot about After Effects. I just haven't. Maybe I'm not doing advanced enough stuff. Well, I am for my professional work, but not for my funny haha plastic soldier YouTube videos, right? Anyway, TY for watching. See you guys Saturday and Sunday for Waifu Weekend. Persona 5, narrating 200 hours of the game going on. And then Monday, AOS show, where we do a big roundup and everything. And I can safely recline back into non-gamer leaned forward mode and start working on the next YouTube video, but not quite as single-mindedly, perhaps. Anyway, please enjoy some credits music.